Hey there, Bruce, and welcome back to the Game of Fortune. We are still in the middle of our investigation, and now we're not so sure that we're trying to get away with murder because we might not be the murderers. In fact, it seems pretty likely we're not the murderers, and I think Marie is the murderer, but I guess we'll find out. Let's carry on, shall we? Interesting. What do you mean? You haven't figured it out yet? Does he want me to take the lead again? Oh, no big deal. I don't mind handling this. It is my specialty after all. Huh? What are you talking about? This whole scene, it's a real mess. But I think I figured out the basics of what really happened. Please tell me it's going to be different than what Clyde's been telling me. Well, Clyde's been telling the truth, so he did stab Belle right in the chest, but that's not really worth debating. What is worth debating is whether or not that's exactly what killed Belle. Then you mean that he's not responsible? No, I think that Belle was poisoned using the cyanide pills we found earlier. You're just saying that because you found those pills. But how can you be sure that they were even used? I mean, most of them were dumped. But there was one pill that was cut in half and likely had its contents slipped into something. If I had to guess what that something was, I'd probably say it's the almond tea that Belle was requesting. But there was no almond tea around, so... Right, which makes you wonder why Belle asked for that tea in the first place. It's a reach, but I think she was probably smelling cyanide. It's been described as having a bitter almond-like smell. So she might have associated that smell with the tea that you gave her, Maria. Whoa, I didn't go off poisoning any tea. I gave her apple tea. That's a totally different smell-wise. I don't doubt it, but there's just one thing I noticed. Clyde, you mentioned that Belle threw up shortly after you met her, and that afterwards she was feeling pain in her head, chest, and stomach. That sound about right? Yeah. Well, that could also be a sign of cyanide poisoning. That could have just been from the alcohol she had earlier. She drank nearly a whole bottle of wine. True. However, I think that severe sickness and pain, that soon after drinking, are more indicative of poisoning. Even if Belle's a lightweight, I wouldn't imagine that she starts spitting up right after drinking that much. If she were poisoned, though, that would explain why there was a small amount of vomit on the ground near the waiting room doors, and why the first thing she did after meeting Clyde was ask for help to the bathroom. We're not just talking about your usual drunk wobbliness. There can be physical weakness, since cyanide basically keeps your body from using oxygen. Your cells die, and combine that with her inebriation, it's no wonder that she was in all sorts of pain. And of course, there's the really odd thing that Belle didn't so much as flinch, yell, or gasp when she was stabbed. That leads me to think that the poison killed her just moments before Clyde stabbed her. Yeah, and there wasn't any sign of struggle, or Clyde having to fight her and get a clean shot right at her chest. She had to have been dead by that point. Wait just a minute. The fact that she's retaliating points to the fact that it's obviously her. You're basing all this stuff from what Clyde said? That almond tea? The way Belle felt? The fact that Belle didn't so much as scream? You're putting all your faith in this guy. He might be lying. Maybe he saw the poison in the trash can and decided to poison Belle. Oh, so you knew by that point that the poison was for sure in the trash. I don't know for sure, but... Okay, so maybe he saw it in the bathroom when he helped Belle out. That's possible. We don't know for sure when the poison was put in the trash, but that doesn't really matter. Clyde wouldn't have had enough time to kill Belle using poison. A single dose takes 10 minutes to work, which would mean that you were the best candidates for it. Then maybe use multiple doses, like 2, 3, or 4 pills in a drink or something. So he'd poison her like this and then stab her? Seems kind of pointless. Plus, we've only found evidence that one pill was cut open. Well, because if you found multiple, then you'd suspect that someone needed a stronger dose of poison to kill her. Or maybe it was just to make her weak. And then all he'd have to do is stab her when she couldn't fight back. So let's run through this. You think that Clyde came in, saw a weakened Belle, helped her to the bathroom, saw the poison in the bathroom, which is behind the sink mirror, moves Belle back to the couch, takes a bunch of pills, dumps them in the kitchen trash, takes one, slits a couple open, puts it in a cup of water, disposes all but one of the pills somehow, makes Belle drink the water, gets her super weak, and then stabs her with a different knife in the chest without so much as a scratch or other wounds on either of them. He does all this, then confesses to stabbing her, and to risk that if I didn't ask him for specific questions, we'd probably nail him as the killer. You think that happened? Geez, Al, when you put it that way, you're making me look like an idiot. Not my intention, but you do see how it comes across as a bit far-fetched and overly complex. Compare that to how that you may be finding a drunk Belle demanding tea, find the poison, dump all but one pill in the trash while you spike her tea with cyanide. Doesn't seem all that hard to do. Anyway, really it just comes down to what we believe in more. You being responsible for a quick poisoning job, or Clyde putting this complex plan you're insisting into action. Damn, I knew that he was a private investigator, but still, he didn't let up with his logic even against Maria. If he weren't here, I wonder if I would have noticed all these oddities. Alright, you got me. I know what I'm beat. So you're going to confess then? Yeah, that's basically what I'm doing. I mean, assuming that Clyde didn't really didn't somehow kill Belle before the poison did her in. I'm not all that good at plotting murders. I like helping people, not hurting them. When I saw Belle all drunk like that, I couldn't just go and kill her with something like a knife. I didn't want to get my hands dirty. I wasn't even sure if I was in the middle or if I was last, so I looked around for something that would work. And when I came across the poison, I just figured it'd be an easier way to make it pass on. She didn't even notice the taste of the cyanide. But at the end of the round, she was already starting to look pretty bad. Gosh, I thought that she was going to die the minute I left. Then I come out and see she's got a knife in her chest. Way too confused for me to figure out what happened, but I thought for a moment that maybe I didn't have a hand in it. Anyway, that's totally on me. Good sleuthing. Then we all agree that Maria's probably the killer. That seems to be the case. Phew. Devon wrapped her arms around me and pulled me into a hug. You dumbass. Why are you going off confessing to crimes that you might not have even done? Well, in my defense, I thought I did do it. So I was doing it for you. And you think that I'd want to keep on playing without you? That's not the point. Better one of us than none of us. She can be pouty all she wants. She knows that I'm right. Clyde, you gotta be more aware, man. I'm aware of why she's upset, but still. Tusk. You're awfully chipper for someone who's gonna die. Well, I'm a little sad, honestly, but you can't win them all. And hey, not the worst way to go out. I've had a little bit of fun with this. But you're going to die. You're acting like that doesn't mean anything. Do you want me to have a big dramatic cry where I curse you all for finding me out? Well, no, but then be happy I'm going out with a smile. Because I'm sure there are a lot of worse ways that someone could die here. Actually, how are we supposed to go about voting? Simple, just point out who you think's guilty. Belle made the instructions clear right in our heads. Alright, well, let's do it then. Maria pointed to herself. Devon and I raised our hands up and pointed to Maria as well. Alphonse just sighed and shook his head. Only person I know of that can look death right in the face and smile. It's not true. Mum was like that too. Yeah, I guess she was, wasn't she? Like mother, like daughter, huh? Now quit stalling and point at me already. Fine. Alphonse raised his hand and pointed at Maria. Phew, finally. And Belle stood up from the couch. What the fuck? Sheesh, you fool were taking your sweet time. She pulled the knife from her chest and tossed it behind her as though it were trash. No wound, no blood. It was as if it were an illusion. But you got it. Maria was the one who ended my life. The fast-acting 10-minute cyanide pills. You really just got up from the couch like that, huh? What, do you think you could get rid of me that easily? Wouldn't be bad if you were gone. I know that you like to say that, but you'd cry if I were gone for good. Anyway, how you feeling, Maria? Little lightheaded? Terrible. Now you know what it's like to have cyanide running through your body. You poisoned her? That only seemed fair. It's fine. It's better than, like, getting stabbed or something. Lie down, Maria. If you're going to die, at least die peacefully. As opposed to going down swinging. All you do is end up swinging at air. Guess you're right. Maria collapsed onto her hands and knees and was covering her mouth with her hand. Here, I'll get you over to the couch. Alphonse crouched down and picked Maria up off the ground and carried her over to the couch to lay her down. There, now just go to sleep. You don't have to do all this for me, Al. Losers lose, I know how things work. Always going out with a smile. Don't worry. I'm going to make it to the end for you. Because all we can do. He put his fist up to her. Is go forward. She weakly bumped his fist before letting out a hollow laugh. It didn't take long for her breathing to get softer and quieter. Eventually they stopped altogether. And she was just gone. I know that she was our opponent, and frankly, she almost wasn't, but I can't help but feel an immense sadness over her death. She always seemed upbeat and friendly. Even Devon seemed upset, and she was mad with her for trying to dupe us only a few minutes ago. Guess she just has some amazing charisma, or maybe it's something else. It feels so weird to be attached to someone you've never met before, but there's just a sense of familiarity. It's the same even with Alphonse. So peaceful, despite being so painful. Poison really is one of the best ways to go, isn't it? God, can you do anything more than grunt? It's like I'm talking to a boar. Nevertheless, congrats on winning the game. You'll find your exit right over there. Belle clapped her hands and a door etched itself out of the walls. Take this, and it'll lead you to the next lounge. The usual one. Great, thanks. No problem. I got one more game to run before the next set, so see you all later. With a wink, she vanished in a cloud of blue smoke. Alright, guess we ought to get going. Right. We all gave Maria one last parting glance before leaving the lounge. The walk to the next lounge was uncomfortably silent. Devon nudged me in the side and gave me a look. Oh shit, I missed one. At first I wasn't sure that she was trying to nudge me for, and then I remembered the whole reason that we followed Maria and Alphonse. We were hoping that maybe we'd learn how these two planned to survive together, or at least if Alphonse knew anything about surviving. And with Maria dead, this seemed the best time to ask. Hey Alphonse, you know a lot about this place, right? Like you said you've done your research into the Game of Fortune? I've done research into the Digits of Eden. The Game of Fortune is a new wheelhouse for me. But you do have some idea of how to survive it, don't you? Well, personally I don't. Most of the information that I got on this place was second-hand, but it was a good source, so I don't have any reason to doubt them. Did they mention any way to survive as a group, or at least with your partner? The only thing that comes to mind is for the winner to wish for everyone who died here to come back to life. You're really trying to ensure your survival here, huh? What else is there to think about? We don't want to die here. Ease up, it's not that big a deal. How is it not a big deal? You just saw Maria die before your very eyes. How does that not make you frantic about survival? Don't you care about her? I mean, you two were partners. Hell, apparently you both know her mum. There's some connection here, and you're just acting like it's no big deal. Hey, it is a big deal. It's just that it's not that big a deal. What? Did I just miss a few words? Because I really don't understand how you could be so lax about this. Do you just not care about her or something? Hey, I won't take that. I care a lot about Maria, more than you could ever know. Then tell me how you plan to save her unless her dying was part of your plan. It's not. If it were up to me, she wouldn't even be here. Then why'd she have to come? Couldn't you have picked anyone else to come along with you? Alphonse sighed and shook his head. Not really. It had to be her, and no amount of protesting and debating was going to change that. As much as I hate to admit it, I can't do this without Maria. And that's what pisses me off more than anything. Then you of all people should be looking for ways to assure her safety. I'm trying, but there's really only one way I can make sure that Maria stays safe, and that's to win the right way. Win the right way? Is there a right way to win the Game of Fortune? Yes and no. For you two, it probably doesn't matter too much, but for Maria and I, there's a certain order that we have to go through. Certain order? Like, through certain doors or something? No, nothing like that. Honestly, you don't even need to worry about it. This is just something that Maria and I have to do. If we're getting out of this alive, we just have to win the right way. I'm not understanding a word of what he's saying, Clyde. Me neither. It'll make sense eventually. If not now, then later. I can only hope you can sympathise with our efforts when that time comes. Or maybe it already has. Yeah, still not getting it. Can you at least tell me why you're here? Like, what possessed you to come to this place? That's easy. Revenge, redemption, and righteousness. That's three different things, though I guess they might be connected. The fact that they all start with R? No, I mean more than that someone might find righteousness in their actions through revenge, or seeing it as redemption. Yeah, basically that. I'm trying to do the right thing, and the right thing also happens to get me some payback. It's all from Maria's mother. She's involved in this somehow? Something along those lines. Yeah, I think Maria mentioned something about May some time ago. May? Yeah, that's Maria's mother's name. May. Is that weird? Kind of is. I mean, how do you know that? She told me. When did she tell you? You haven't had that long to speak with her. She told me that It suddenly dawned on Devon that she'd said something odd. I don't know, I just feel like that's correct. I don't really know how else to put it. We were talking about Maria's mum and the name May just popped up in my head. I didn't even think hard about it. Did you know Maria before this or something? No, I'm sure I've never met her before this. But it does feel like I've seen her before. I get this weird feeling of familiarity about her too. I don't know, this place is probably messing with my head. It's probably not even her real name. No, it is. Wait, seriously? May Faraday. Clyde, if we get out of this, I need to play the lottery. This is just some real divine luck. It really does seem like you just pulled the name out of thin air. I see how it is. You do? Yeah, well, it seems you've already gone through this a few times. Maybe it's fine if I explain myself. Though it's a bit of a long story. Is this story going to help us survive somehow? In a way, it's kind of a cautionary tale that might be more helpful later than right now. Well, what do you think, Clyde? I guess it can't hurt, and we can just listen to it on the way to the next lounge. Alright, we'll see how much I can condense. This is a cautionary tale of ambition, among other things, and it started around this time 8 years ago. I just started work as a private investigator, but most of what I did was just accessory for work for the police, helping them chase leads, assist in investigations, things like that. On occasion, I took on odd jobs myself, usually missing persons reports or finding people of interest who went into hiding. I wasn't bad at the work, but it wasn't exactly fulfilling. I had wanted something more interesting, more engaging, something that I could make a story out of. You were just doing this job for the fun of it. Not for the fun of it. I was good at this kind of thing. But you kind of hoped to do something interesting with your life. Guess it just wasn't as good as what I was hoping. So, assuming that change happened some 8 years ago? Yeah, there was a woman that came in that would change everything. May. Excuse me. It was a middle-aged woman, probably around her mid-40s if I had to guess. Yes? This is the private investigator's office, isn't it? That it is. Need some help with something? She seemed nervous, anxious, looking around the room as though there were other people besides us watching her. So... You'll investigate private matters, right? That's what your job is, isn't it? Something of that nature? But just to give you a heads up, it doesn't work like it does in movies or TV shows. I'm not going to go on some secret spy mission to investigate some personal conspiracy for you. Oh. But I'll still hear you out and make your decision based on what I hear. So don't look so glum. Okay, but it's going to sound strange. And you have to promise to keep this a secret. I'm pretty good at keeping secrets. Okay, well, I think that someone's been murdered. That was the first time that someone had come to me insisting they knew about a potential murder. Just to be clear, you're not talking about suspecting someone that's gone missing or anything like that. Have you witnessed a murder or... well, no. I can't say that I've witnessed it personally. But I do know someone that died, and I think I know who the killer is. Ma'am, if you have information about a murder, you need to go to the police right now and tell them about it. I can't. Why not? I'm scared. And it's not like they're going to believe me anyway. What do you mean? Are you scared of retaliation? There are protection services to keep witnesses from being targeted. And no, it's complicated. I mean, they're going to think I'm crazy. I don't really have much proof aside from the things that I've heard. And if the others find out I'm looking into this, then I'm worried about what's going to happen. Can you be a bit more clear on what you mean? Let's just take a step back. Who's the victim here? It was a young woman. I think her name was Veronica Valentine. I didn't remember hearing anything in the news about a woman with that name being killed, but it was possible that I might have just missed it. How do you know this woman? Is she a friend of yours? Family? No, I don't know much about her at all. I only heard about her because her ex-boyfriend was screaming about how he got revenge on her and had given her what she had deserved. I was worried about her. I did a little research and I found out that she died only a few days ago on the 4th. So you suspect foul play. I know that there's foul play. I know the man did it. Again, if you know there's been a murder and you have a strong reason to suspect someone, you need to go to the police to report it. If you're afraid to go alone, I can go with you too. No, they won't believe me. Why not? Because... She hesitated. She looked apprehensive when speaking. Because the killer wished for her death. Huh? I mean, yeah, I'm sure that the murderer would wish for the victim's death, but... No, I mean, literally. They made a wish to kill someone, and then they died. This is the most nonsensical thing I'd heard in a long time. Ma'am, I don't know how to respond to that. You can't really expect me to believe that someone is just wishing people to death. I know it sounds ridiculous and impossible. I feel stupid for even bringing it up. I don't expect an outsider to know. Outsider? I've lived here for a long time. I figured that I'd be an insider by now. Oh, no, I just mean, it's... Never mind, I don't think you'd understand. I suppose not. But really, I think this is something you should look into. It's just... I just have a really bad feeling about this. Anyway, if you can't investigate Miss Valentine's death, then can I ask you to look into something else at least? Depends on what that might be. Have you heard of the Digits of Eden? No, what are they? Some kind of company or something? They're sort of like that. They're more an ideological society. Then say cult. Why don't you just say cult? They help people get back on their feet. They give people support and money, housing, even employment. Sounds to me like a charity organization. Yeah, that's one way to put it. Then why do you want me to investigate them? Sounds to me like they're doing good work. Not to say that charities aren't without their faults or dirty practices, but it's not what I expect to hear considering your good words. My faith was shaken. Come again? My faith in them was shaken. I believed that they were only capable of doing good, that they only helped people, but the murderer I was talking about, they were only able to kill Miss Valentine because the Digits of Eden let them. I couldn't understand it. Why would they let a dangerous man like that just kill someone? They're supposed to be good people. They're supposed to only help others. Allowing murder like that, and then parading around like it's an achievement? I just need to be sure that it was some kind of mistake. So you're asking me to investigate some charity because you believe they endorse some kind of wish murder? I'm sorry, this is a stupid idea. I just thought that something was off. But saying that out loud really does seem strange. I'm sorry, I'll just leave. I was going to let her leave, but the dejection on her face just pulled at me. She was nice and sweet lady. I couldn't just turn her away. Not without at least giving her a spark of hope that someone might look into this issue. Even if it was complete nonsense. Wait. Don't look so dejected. If I have spare time, I'll look into it. This sounds somewhat supernatural, so I can't very well go around asking people if they know of some wish-making murderer. But if you're telling me the truth, or at least some version of it, then someone endorsed murder, and that's worth investigating. I mean, she'd pay you for the job, right? That's how private investigators work. They ask you to investigate something and then pay you for your work. So you might as well investigate it as long as you're getting paid, man. Who cares? Oh, are you sure? Yeah, it's no big deal. Though I can't work fast if I'm going into this blindly without any information to go off and start an investigation with. Oh, well, I suppose I can give you some help on that end. I know the murderer's name, and I know who he works for. She pulled up a number of photos. I was a bit surprised at her dedication to collecting all this information. There was one photo that stood out from the rest. Huh, this guy. He's part of the Digits of Eden? Yes, Cole Garrant, sorry. He's in charge of security and law within the Digits of Eden. Is that what he's doing now? Cole Garrant wasn't some kind of leader, not in the traditional sense. He was a thug, someone that bullied, intimidated, threatened, extorted, blackmailed, and killed anyone who got in his way. He was involved in organised crime for a long while, worked his way up various gangs through sheer ruthlessness. He had a lot of allegations of violence against him, but none ever managed to stick to him. Probably because he threatened to kill anyone who'd speak ill of him. And now he's in charge of some organisation's security and internal law enforcement. That was enough to raise some red flags that something else was going on there. And you're saying that the murderer worked for this guy? The woman nodded her head. Well, no wonder he's going around boasting about murder. Still, gonna be a pain in the ass to figure this out, if he's got connections to Cole. Do you know him? I've heard a few things about him here and there. What about the other people here? Can't say I recognise them. The brown-haired man is Nigel Edwards. The blue-haired woman is Kana Umishima. I'm pretty sure that they were some of the original founders of the Digits of Eden. I don't know much about them personally, but I think they have a lot of money and influence. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to provide so much help for most of the members. Help, huh? And what about this blonde guy? That's Sebastian Curtin. Both he and Cole joined around the same time. Some time ago, I think. Sebastian does a lot of work with investigating, I think. Investing, I think, sorry. He invests in other companies that help us out, or something like that. Also, he's enlightened. He's what? He has mystical powers granted by our goddess, and knows all sorts of things about the mystical nature of the world. I think that's why he was brought on. Mystical powers? Honestly, at this point, I'm not surprised. Wouldn't be the first time that someone had had weird powers. Well, I can't promise much if I'm being honest, but I'll look into this. It's piqued my interest. Oh, thank you. I don't really know how much it costs to do this kind of thing. I'm sure that if I save up, I can pay for the service in installments, if that's okay. There's no need, ma'am. Think of it as pro bono work. Really? Is that okay? It's fine, ma'am. Though, I'll say it'd be best for you to keep quiet about this. Wouldn't want you getting into trouble or danger because of the nature of what you're telling me. Thank you. I honestly am not sure what to get out of this. I sort of hope that maybe there's something I'm missing? That this has been a mistake? That the Digits of Eden wouldn't do something so heinous? I hate to break it to you, but anything Cole's involved in is probably heinous to some degree. Anyway, how can I get in contact with you, Miss... Oh, where are my manners? I'm so sorry. You can call me May Faraday. We exchanged contact information so that I could follow up with you later. Though at the time, I wasn't really sure that what I was going to come up with. When I finally found the time to look into this mess, I started off by investigating the death of Veronica Valentine. When I got the chance to speak with her parents, it seemed just as suspicious as May was about her death. Apparently she was a healthy young woman that had a bad relationship with her ex-boyfriend. They didn't know his name, only that she'd recently dumped him. She didn't have any pre-existing health conditions that would explain why her heart suddenly stopped. They asked for a toxicology report to see if she'd been drugged or poisoned, but there wasn't anything in her system. They were told over and over again there was no evidence of foul play. It was just brushed off as some kind of freak nature accident that happens once in a blue moon. The only thing that was off was that there was a small clover mark on her skin. It resembled a birthmark, but the family was sure that Veronica never had anything like that when she was alive. Nevertheless, that alone wasn't enough to prove anything. I was able to find out who her boyfriend was, got his name off her old phone, but actually locating him was difficult. It seemed that he was hopping around from place to place. Either he had a safe houses, or he's been given time off for things to cool down before he'd pop up again. Basically, my investigation stalled on that front. Still, I decided that I had other avenues I could explore. Mainly, everything regarding Cole. I knew enough about him, but I decided to dig deeper and see what he had been getting into recently. Much to my surprise, he really did start some kind of personal security company. The guy was a known criminal. I couldn't imagine that anyone in their right mind would allow him to get permits or even start a business like that. More importantly, I couldn't imagine why he'd suddenly want to start acting like he'd changed his ways and started acting like a public force for good. That just wasn't how he operated. But that's when another familiar name popped up. Nigel Edwards. It took me a while, but I eventually found a few trace sources that suggested that Nigel Edwards was the person sponsoring Cole and allowing him to build up his company. I suspected standard wheeling and dealing, bribes, blackmail. Nigel probably pulled some strings to make sure that the process went as smoothly as possible. What I couldn't understand was why Nigel wanted to be associated with someone as black-hearted as Cole. And what use did he have in helping him build up a personal security company? From what I could find, the guy seemed to be a respectable enough businessman. Maybe he wasn't the loudest and most known, but considering the business he had his hands in, I was sure that he'd held a considerable amount of influence and power. Still, it wasn't really enough for me to make heads or tails about what his objectives were. Was it as simple as getting more money and influence over others? It was sometimes just that simple. I even tried looking up the digits of Eden, but most public sources didn't clue me in on anything. I was going to do a more thorough investigation, but I figured that it'd be better to first talk with May about what I'd found. I called her up and agreed to meet her at a place when we got the chance. When I arrived, though, things didn't go quite as planned. Instead of meeting May, I was greeted by an odd girl. Hello? Oh, do I have the wrong address? Oh, you must be Mum's friend. Alphonse, right? Yeah, this is Miss Faraday's house? Yep, please come on in. Mum's just gone out to get groceries. She shouldn't be long. I walked inside. It was a nice enough place. I'm assuming you're a friend of May's then. I'm her daughter, Maria. Oh, really? Did the pink hair and red eyes surprise you? Little. I've just been dyeing it pink lately. I think that it looks neat. It's really brown, just like my mum's. And I'm guessing you're wearing coloured contacts? Nope, they're just naturally like that. Oh, that's interesting. I like to think it shows my passionate soul. She sure does seem like the passionate type. Can I get you anything, by the way? Water, juice, tea, coffee? Do you like vodka? I'm a private investigator, of course I like vodka. Thank you, I'll take some water if that's not too much trouble. No trouble at all, I like making guests comfortable. She really does seem like a nice young woman. May's got a good daughter in her hands. She brought 2 cups of water over by the table and eagerly sat down across from me. Mum said that she had a guest coming over, but she never said why. Are you a friend of hers? I wouldn't say that we're friends, I'm just doing some work for your mother. Really? Huh. What kind of work? That's confidential, at least until May arrives. I prefer to only speak about it with her, unless she doesn't mind you hearing. Oh, you're making it sound like it's really important. Are you a spy? Nothing that glamorous. There may be a cop. Getting warmer. Then a private investigator. Congrats, you got it in 3 tries. I'm good at spotting you people. You've always got this look in your eyes like you're looking for something. Well, our job does involve investigating, so that makes sense. You're not looking for trouble, are you? The question came a bit pointed, and I could feel her warm and friendly attitude fade slowly. On the contrary, trouble tends to come looking for me. But in this case, I'm here to tell your mother about what I found. Whether it's trouble or not, that's up for her to decide. She had a pensive look and started eyeing me up. Look, I don't want to be mean, but there have always been a few investigators that come rolling around here. They always ask questions to get everyone all worried and riled up. They just cause trouble for everyone, and then they leave without anything either. They're like wrecking balls, swinging wildly at anything and just causing a ton of damage. Is that so? Why are so many people coming to investigate you and your mother? Not just us, just that... She winced and stopped herself. Just bad rumours, that's all. Whenever people hear rumours, they want to find a story, even if there isn't one to find. I'll try my best not to cause any damage. I'm just here reporting what I found to your mother. Everything else at this point is just up to her. If you say so. We just don't want any trouble. I don't intend to deliver any. Maria, can you help me with... May walked into the room carrying a few grocery bags in her hands. Oh, Mr. Gilmont, I'm sorry that I'm a bit late. I forgot that we were low on food, so I thought I could make a quick trip. It's fine, I've just been speaking with Maria for a few minutes. You have a lovely daughter, by the way. She's very polite and accommodating. You know me, I like to make guests comfortable. Speaking of comfortable, let's hear her out. We quickly took the bags from May's hands and brought them to the kitchen to put them away. Once everything was taken care of, we walked back into the living room. Thank you for all that. I hope it wasn't too much trouble. No trouble at all. Especially not when you have 4 sets of arms. 4 arms, the magic number. Anyway, Maria, could you give Mr. Gilmont and I some time alone? There's some things we need to discuss in private. Actually, is it okay if I stay and listen? He seems kind of interesting, and I've always wanted to see what private investigators do in person. So you know? I only told her what I do for a living, nothing more than that. I see. Maria, you don't have to force yourself to stay. This is just a personal problem. And I just want to make sure that this guy doesn't pull any tricks or nothing. No offense, Alphonse, but I know some people that prey on the helpless when their minds waver. That's fair, but I'm only going to disclose what I found if May allows it. I trust Maria. I just worry about how she'll react based on what you found. She's very faithful, and I'm afraid you'll say something that were to shake her faith, she'd Shake your faith? I don't believe I'm intruding on any religious rights or beliefs, am I? No, it's just... Maria, promise you won't lash out if he says something you don't like. I'll behave. I'm not a bull that'll just charge at anything that's waved in front of me. Good. You know I don't like making you upset. Anyway, detective, go ahead and tell me what you found. To start off, I unfortunately have to admit that the investigation into Veronica Valentine's death is stalled. I talked with their parents and learned a fair bit about their own suspicions, but there's not much evidence to show foul play. And it's been impossible to get a hint as to where her boyfriend's at. You're looking into Veronica Valentine's death? Yes. Did you know her? No, but I knew her boyfriend. Well, knew about him, I guess. Huh. Do you know where he is? Not really. Last I heard, he got brought in for, like, disciplinary training or something like that. Don't have a clue where he's at. Is this what this is all about? Just over that lady's death? In a way. It's fine. I mean, the lady probably did something to deserve it. Huh? Maria? I'm just saying, you wouldn't let it happen if she didn't deserve it. Are you saying that someone checked off on murder? Murder's a bad word. It's more like divine retribution. She spoke the words, the same cheerful attitude as before, like it wasn't a big deal. And she seemed so self-assured that Veronica's death was deserved. Unlike her mother, who seemed more troubled at her daughter's declaration more than anything. Then there was all this talk about divine retribution. Never heard anyone talk about murder in that way before. Sorry, detective, but she doesn't really mean that. Murder is wrong no matter how you look at it. Hey, that's not fair. There are some situations where it's totally fair to kill someone, like protecting yourself from harm. Are you saying that's what happened? I don't know, maybe. But I mean, if that lady did something wrong, then she probably deserved what came to her. That's really all I can say about it. I wanted to dig more into this. My instincts were telling me that Maria had some clue that would give me a new lead. But I could also get the sense that she was like a guard dog, and that if I pressed too hard, soon she'd bite my hand for trying to find out more information. So I instead swerved to a different topic. And with that, we need to wrap this one up here, because we're out of time for today. But we'll continue this conversation in the next episode, because this is fascinating. It's weird, because Maria's attitude is totally different here than it is now, but I guess this is a while ago, right? I guess we'll see. Thanks for watching, Bruce, and I'll see you in the next one.